Big knockouts, crazy crowds, the best matchups, the best fighters. This is USKA Kickboxing. USKA returns to Allentown on Saturday, October 19th at the Parkview Convention Center. These fighters will leave it all in the ring. The 2024 fight season has seen some of the most competitive matchups mixed with highlight reel knockouts. The action is sure to continue on October 19th. Tune in to see who will be the next fight of the night or who will fall in the next highlight reel knockout. Witness it live as dreams come true and dreams get shattered. This is USKA Kickboxing. Go to USKAfights.com to purchase the pay-per-view or purchase tickets to see it live.
Dan, you have the your main event slot for USKA 112 coming up October 19th against Josh Martinez. 150-pound title fight. Hey, tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you're feeling.
Well, originally, I'm a military brat, so kind of all over the place. Originally from Detroit, Michigan, lived all over, ended up in Pennsylvania, in 2012. Right now, I'm feeling pretty great. Just getting back into the swing of it, getting back into the scene a little bit. Took a little bit of a hiatus, but got some ring rust off last month with gut check, as you know. Was a pretty intense fight, but outside of that, I feel good. I mean, I'm going to be 40 in 2 weeks, but outside of that, I feel like I'm 25.
Yeah. I was watching some of the highlights from your gut check fight that you had actually sent me. One is really cool where, the kick comes toward your head and you duck under there. Can you describe that moment? Is that something you trained for to do that? And how did that play out?
Man, I wish I could tell you I trained that a million times, but I think I was expecting low kick, and I started to see the kick float, and the only thing I could think of was, maybe just like a hook. Let me just roll this thing. So I went for the roll, and then I finished like I would as if I rolled a hook. I went overhand on top of that. But no, I mean, to answer your question, it was kind of one of those things that just natural ability. I was like, I got to get out of the way of this. I'm either eating it or I got to do something,
I thought that was really cool. But I was wondering if you went back to the corner and your corner says, "What the hell are you doing out there?" I was wondering how that all plays out.
No, it was wild. Even after that, the teammates and everybody, they were like, that's probably the craziest thing that we've seen in a long time. You rolling a head kick. Obviously, not obviously, a lot of gyms will teach to fade on that, and you fade back, you tuck your chin and you kind of see the kick go by. But I don't know that I had enough time in that moment, so I chose option number 2.
That's really cool that happened naturally for you. Hey, so let's go back to, when was your first kickboxing fight and how did this all get started? Do you remember what year that was?
Yeah, I think it was June of 2016, I want to say. 16? Yeah. I want to say it was June of 2016 because this is my 10th year of training. And it was for WKA. Okay. I did, if I'm remembering correctly, it was 3 fights in one weekend.
Okay, you did the tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and then my first quote unquote sanctioned fights were actually with USKA, so I'm coming back home per se. It's my homecoming.
I saw the picture. You sent me that picture with the glove and everything. That's pretty cool. That'll pop up here. But awesome. So in between, you're coming off a hiatus with your fight in gut check. So in between there, what's the gap there between the gut check fight and your previous fight?
So when I did an interview with Gut Check, I said it was 4 years, but actually it was, so 2019 of April was the last time I fought. So it was actually a 5-year layoff.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it was, I mean, I guess we're splitting hairs, 4.5 years, 5 years, but it was a long time. I stepped away completely for about 2 years for some personal stuff, but then I got back into coaching. I coached for a couple of years, so I wasn't completely out of the game, but yeah, as doing what you do, any time out of the ring is a long time out of the ring.
Did I see a post a few weeks ago? Maybe it was right before that fight. What was your high weight? Because you got pretty heavy there. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, more recently in a lot of my like hashtags, I say Muay Thai saves lives and, depression sucks and stuff like that. I got really depressed for a little bit, Gary. And, I don't know if it was COVID or just a mixed bag of stuff, but I got up to 247 pounds. Yeah, I was.
And so everyone knows this fight is at 150 pounds. So
right.
You're closer to 150 than to 250 now, right?
Right. Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. And did you train that off? Tell people how you did that, because that's an amazing story.
Well, I found a lot of comfort in food. I'm still a foodie. I don't care what anybody says. I'm still a foodie. I'll train real hard, but then I'll eat really hard too. You know what I mean? So equally, it goes both ways. But so a lot of it is just being mentally prepared, just like fighting, right? You got to be mentally ready to do it. This is actually my second go around. I don't know if I like giving myself punishment or whatever it is, but before I got into Muay Thai and kickboxing and started competing, I was a pretty heavy guy then too. So I guess, it's kind of muscle memory, but a lot of dieting, a lot of mental strength, a lot of, just kind of perseverance and getting up and doing it and go kind of type attitude. But it also takes, your surroundings, no drinking, no drugging, no smoking, a lot of different things that are going to, equate to that. In addition to that, you got to have a strong team. People that you surround yourself with will also motivate you to do those things as well too.
Well, let's talk about your team there at the gym. It's quite an amazing story, and obviously you have a great team around you. Tell us where you train and tell us how all that whole dynamic with your team is.
So I train currently out of King Street Kickboxing and Muay Thai out of Pottstown. I've known Mike Hughes a long time, since we used to trade mitts back when he was at High Voltage and I was at Algeo. I would come down and, we'd get some sparring session in with those guys, Jason Heflin, Bazooka Joe used to come around, Joe Stripling, a lot of names that I'm throwing, a lot of USKA guys. I mean, we all came up through USKA. But, fast forward to, me stepping away from kickboxing and Muay Thai for a little bit to handle some things and taking a hiatus. COVID happened. Mike opened his own spot, and I started coaching at High Voltage. From there, Mike said, "Hey, I really would like to put a squad together, and let's start, moving the lever a little bit and moving the needle." And he asked me if I wanted to come over and coach. And I agreed. He knew I wanted to get back into the ring, and Tony, Lauren, Tony Trujillo. Sorry, I'm probably chopping his name all up. but Eddie, some other young guys, Coyle, that's on the card, Anthony Coyle. Mm-hmm. These guys are hungry. They're motivated. They're making me feel young, but they're great teammates, inspirational, right? Even though so young. Mike's got a lot of years as a coach. Lauren is a USKA champion. There's a lot of awesome connections here. But, Casey Messon and being the strength and conditioning coach, Mike Moyer just being another textbook knowledge of, an encyclopedia of kickboxing. Just a lot of different things going on. So a lot of positives.
You've been around a long time, and it's really cool that you pull all those names in and you're surrounded by that and the whole USKA thing. I love all that stuff. So even you were about 30 when you did your first fight?
Yeah.
But that's a fairly late start, or a later start than normal. And now you're 40. So what motivated you then? Why did you want to do it then? And why do you want to keep doing it now?
Oh man, I think I've always had the drive to compete. I wrestled in high school. I wrestled in junior high. I was always kind of involved with martial arts. I lived in Japan for 5 years, my dad being in the military.
Yeah.
So I did Weiche Ryu Karate at the time. So it was kind of always there. I think what made me want to compete at the time was my son Victor. He was growing up. He was, gosh, he might have been in 6th grade at the time. Being 30, I wanted to kind of give him some inspiration, and this is kind of what a man does as a role model. Puts themselves into, not necessarily places themselves into tough situations, but teaches their children or people around them what it means to be a mentally strong and how to get prepared kind of type of individual. And I think, almost cannibalizing itself. I feel the same way with this. I'm not afraid to admit that I hit a really, really bad spell of depression, and I'm proving to myself again that I'm mentally strong enough to kick depression's ass too, right?
That's awesome.
There's good days and there's bad days, but here I am. I gained a bunch of weight. I was severely depressed. COVID happened. That happened to a lot of people, right? Not just the Dan Inch thing, but basically what I'm trying to say is that, challenge yourself, push yourself, find yourself a team, push the lever, push the envelope.
And that is very awesome. That's very inspiring. But doing this at this age, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but it's not easy, even as far as the medicals. There's a lot of medicals. Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, because you know this better than me. You had to have an ophthalmologist exam, not an optometrist exam. You had to get on a treadmill and do a treadmill stress test. And then you had to do a neuro exam, which my understanding, and I learned this from you, can be done online at this point in time. So tell me about that, and not only getting that scheduled, because I looked online and stuff is, you say, oh, this doctor has a first appointment December 2025, like crazy stuff, So tell us about the timeline, because you got this all done very, very quickly, and tell us what you had to go through financially and personally for that.
All right. So, good. I'm glad you're bringing this up. So I just fought in Delaware. I don't want to keep bringing up the other promotion's name, right?
That's great.
Yeah, I did a pro physical with them, right? And I don't get me wrong, I love Gut Check. They're awesome. They're awesome. But just out of respect to you, you know what I mean? I didn't. Anyways, I did a pro physical with them, and they're similar to a point, but I was able to kind of have the PCP, my PCP, kind of knock it all out. However, fast forward to PA, I will key in on the neuro exam. I must have called, I don't know, maybe 20 or 25 doctor's offices to try to get a phone call back. Not even just to get somebody to pick up the phone and schedule it. Wow. Then when I would get a phone call back, they would tell me that their first available is December or January. That is for the neuro examination, and I don't. So in its own weird way, I did the Delaware Pro Physical, and my PCP was able to do my neuro exam on that one, and it's identical. It's literally the same thing.
Right. So, I was looking at that test, and I don't want to interrupt you, but tell us just a couple things, maybe some things. Did you find anything absurd on that test? I mean, there was almost like coloring in the lines type of deal, right?
Yeah, well, they ask you some questions. They talk about your gait, whether you have, whether you're off balance or stuff like that. Some of it I understand, right? Like, what day is it? What color is this? Repeat these words for me. But, some of it, Yeah, there's some wonky stuff there, like, trace these things and do this and that and the other. I don't know that that's necessarily, is that going to cause, I think there's different ways to figure out whether you're cognitive enough to be able to scrap at my age.
Right, right. So, how much, if you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, how much do you have into the neuro, the ophthalmologist, and the treadmill test, the stress test out of pocket?
So, and I'm glad you're bringing this up too, because not everybody would have this ability, right? We're not. Sorry, that's my dog. I don't know if you can hear him hacking.
That's okay.
But not. Fortunately, I was in a position to where I could take care of this stuff, but it was roughly about $700, right? And some of that was covered by insurance. However, my stress test and my my neuro was not. That right out of the gate, that's about $600 to $650 if I'm remembering correctly. Neuro test being, maybe 20 minutes long and about $380 if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And it sucks. I think the PA Athletic Commission is doing the right thing by being safe. However, they're not holistically thinking about this, because what if somebody my age doesn't want to take it pro or to the next step, or doesn't have my financial stability, or has the help around, but they want to get their name out there and they want to achieve these goals and they want to make their children feel proud of them, yet I don't have $1,000 to spend so I can fight.
Right. The
hard part,
So it's a balance.
I don't.
And every time I've asked you about it or text you about it, you've always, they're doing the right thing, I guess. But it could be tough,
Yeah, I think that's a part of my upbringing too, Gary. I think I'm always going to try to see the other side of the fence, But was it a hard process? Absolutely. It was also nerve wracking. Right? Because I wanted this fight so bad, but every call I placed, the for me to get my neuro, it was December or January. We don't have any vacancies, and it's $300 this, or we can get you scheduled for a treadmill stress test, but it's $500 out of pocket. Like, holy crap, it's stressful.
Let's move on to the fight. The fight's we're about 9 days away. So you got a young guy in this one, Josh Martinez. He's fought for us multiple times. He's an ISKA tournament champion. So have you reviewed tape on him? Is that something you do? And how do you feel going into this fight specifically against Josh?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. I think that's normal, right? But let me. I don't know Josh Martinez very well. I haven't really reviewed any tape. But that's just something I've done all of my fight. I've really never concentrated on, digesting a whole lot of what the other person does. It's more of go in and fight Dan Inch's fight and kind of try to control the pace and make them fight to my ability and not fight to their ability, right? So I know the kid's young. I know he's tough, right? I think there was a clip out there that I kind of happened to stumble across, or I think somebody showed me in the gym. He's a brawler, he's going to come at me, and that's okay. I kind of expected that too. I did watch the interview with you too. He does talk about, his wins and his victories and stuff like that. He seems like a very respectful kid. It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, good. No, he's a great guy, and man, I'm at a point in my life where I'm not necessarily rooting for Dan Inch. I'm not necessarily rooting for Josh Martinez. I'm rooting for a great fight. We came off a great card the last time, and man, and this just looks like it's going to be another collision. Like it's absolutely going to be awesome. I got this. That just came in the mail, so to speak, earlier this week.
Let's go.
All right, Dan. I am pumped up for this fight. I'm pumped up for this whole fight card. We're doing some pretty cool things here, and I appreciate you taking the time. We're pushing 20 minutes, so thank you for that. And so I like to ask people this sometimes: when a fight's over, win, lose, or draw, you look out into the crowd. Who are you looking for?
Right now, my girlfriend Cheyenne.
There you go. There you go. And she'll love to hear that, Cheyenne. All right. Very good. All right, Dan, I'm going to give you the last word, and then I will see you in 8 days for weigh-ins and 9 days for the fights. It's all yours.
Hey, Gary, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. Dave Hard, longtime friend. Thank you so much, Dave, for the opportunity. My team and my teammates, everybody out there rooting for me. Thank you. It's going to be a great fight. Thank you so much.
Dan Inch, everybody, reach out to him for his ticket link. Take care, Dan.
Yes, sir. See ya.